It's time for a game review! Woo! I get excited, I'm sorry. Today on Mumbles, we're doing a game review. And we're not just reviewing any game. Today we'll be reviewing Seasons After Fall. Now this is a game that was released for the computer last year, 2016. But it has recently, just a couple days ago, come out for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. I got the chance to review this game, and I'm very excited to bring you guys this review. This is a really good game, and I really like it a lot. So, let's dive into this. So what is Seasons After Fall about? Well, the basic premise of this game is that you control a fox, and the goal is to basically save this forest. Now, along the way, you'll be able to change seasons, and you have to solve all kinds of puzzles. There's some platforming involved. Basically, this is the general premise of the story. So, with that in mind, let's jump into the review. Now, the graphics in this game are a huge draw. This is one of the most beautiful games I have seen in a long time. It may be the most beautiful game I have ever seen. The colors, the way everything looks when you change seasons, you go from one season to the other, the way that the colors change, the way that the leaves look, the style of art they used for this game was perfect. And it helps to extenuate their point that nature is beautiful and it is something that we should take care of. So the graphics in this game get an A++++ because they are that gorgeous, and it is one of the major draws of this game. Now moving on, the sounds also help to further this feeling. The soundtrack in this game is fantastic. The music that they use and when they use that music is just amazing, just perfect. I loved how they did that. But the other thing that's amazing about the sounds is the sounds that they put into this game and the attention to details. For example, when you walk on ice as a fox, you can hear the little pitter-patter of their feet in a relaxing type of a sound. You can hear the leaves rustle back and forth. You can hear the wind blow through the air. You can hear just the gentleness of the entire forest in this game. And they do a great job, again, of showing us that nature is a thing of beauty. Now that we've learned about that, let's talk about the controls. Now, the controls in this game are pretty good. They're not 100% on point, but they are very good. Now, the only drawback to the controls, they're very simple to use, but the only drawback is when you go to use the jumping mechanics, sometimes you have to get a running start because you cannot jump far enough. So it can be kind of frustrating at times because if you don't get that running start, you won't make a jump and you have to go back to the beginning, blah, 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 blah. But that's really the only drawback of the controls. Now, I already talked briefly about the game story, but I do want to touch on the gameplay of this game. Now, the main mechanic in this game is the changing of the seasons. You control it. This is how you solve puzzles. This is how you do things in this game. Now, when you start, you won't have any of this. You have to go collect all that. But once you get it, you can change seasons at will. Doing this changes the environment of the game. It changes how things work. One great example of this is, for example, when you are solving puzzles, perhaps you need a platform, but there's no platforms to be found. There is a large feather on the ground, though. Changing it to fall will make that wind happen. The feather will float up, you can jump on the feather, and then move to the next platform. It's that simple, guys. It is a great mechanic, and it is so smoothly done. It is just unreal. Now, there are some cons to this game, unfortunately, as with any game. There are basically five areas in this game, and while they are relatively good sized, each one of them, once you solve the first part of the game, you have to backtrack and go back through these other parts since you have now the seasons. So in doing this, it creates a lot of backtracking. It can be a little confusing at times, and this is basically a con of this game, is the backtracking. A lot of people don't like this. I'm not a huge fan of backtracking in games. I thought that they did a pretty good job of doing it in this game, even though backtracking really isn't my thing. I like seeing new areas. But even with that in mind, still a small con. Now, the other con is the length. The length of this game is only about 5 hours, so now that's not being a 100% completionist. Probably to be a completionist, you'd have more in the range of 6 to 7 hours. But just to beat this game, it's about 4 to 5 hours, and so that is a con. It's not the longest game in the world. The final con to this game, of course, is replayability. Being that it's such a short game, although it is beautiful, I don't feel like some people would go back to this game after they beat it. Because, you know, once you've solved the puzzles in any puzzle game, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, why would I want to go play that again? But it is such a beautiful game that this isn't a huge con again. Now, these are the only 3 cons to this game: replayability, backtracking, and the game length. But they are small in itself. This game reminded me a lot of The Lion King, but without the combat. There's no combat in this game. But just the feeling of it, I felt like I was, you know, when I first started playing, I'm like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of The Lion King, the video game on the SNES, Super Nintendo. So the creators did a great job of creating something that's very unique, very beautiful, and it sends a great message. So really all that's left is, what the heck is it going to get on our Mumbles review? Without a doubt, this game gets an 8 out of 10. I saw that some people were giving this a very low review, some people were giving it very high. I was on the fence between an 8 and a 7. The main thing to know is you need to try this game, especially if you want to buy it for kids. This is a great game for kids. They will love it. It sends a great message. It's a great game for adults too, but especially for kids, because it will send a great message that nature is something that needs to be taken care of. It is something that is beautiful. There's beautiful parts to every situation, and it just sends an overall great message. Adults will just like it because, you know, we like playing video games. But it is a great message-sending game in a world where, you know, a lot of times games don't particularly send the greatest message. This is one that does. So I definitely recommend it for anyone with kids and adults as well. As I said, 8 out of 10, great game. This studio, I'm predicting that in the future they're going to have some hits because the attention to detail they put in this game is just amazing. So thank you for creating such a great game. I really enjoyed reviewing this. And yeah, guys, this has been another episode of Mumbles. I want to thank y'all so much for joining me. Please smack that subscribe button, smack the like button, smack all those buttons. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this game. Let me know if you've played it. Let me know what what score you would give it. Anyways, guys, this is going to be Mumbles signing off. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.